Welcome to Herbally Yours, an adventure into the world of natural medicine. Here is your host, Dr. Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse who will help you take the leap to ultimate wellness.
And greetings. Thank you so much for joining me, Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse, for another edition of Herbally Yours, right here on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Herbally Yours brings you the latest information about the many facets in the world of natural living. Today, I am so happy to bring on board as our guest Darcie Barron, and she is a CTT, Certified Thermography Technician. Darcie experienced a major health challenge after years of working in the salon industry. Conventional medicine was not able to track down the cause. After visiting an environmental illness center in Boca Raton, Florida, Darcie learned that she was suffering from environmental sensitivities due to overexposure to toxins in her work environment. She found that a variety of natural healing techniques, including foods, vitamins, herbs, and other natural therapies, allowed her to heal. After many years of in-depth study, Darcie investigated thermography as a safe, non-invasive screening technology. Darcie became a certified thermography technician and established her office, Third Eye Thermography Holistic Center. The center offers thermography screening and cell well-being nutrient mapping to help people get a deeper understanding of paths towards personal wellness. And you can contact Darcie at Third Eye Thermography Holistic Center. So thank you so much for joining us today, Darcie.
Hi, Ellen. How are you?
I'm really good, and I'd like to go back in time a little bit because what was your interest beforehand, before you had this health challenge? Was your lifestyle different than it is today?
Well, I was always into eating healthy, or what I thought was healthy, I should say. But yes, my lifestyle was completely different because I was on the road, I was traveling, I was into fashion and makeup and in the hair industry. And now it's all about, that used to be eat to live, and now I eat to live. I mean, it used to be live to eat, now I eat to live.
Now, so you were going along, and all of a sudden, I guess after a certain point, you started experiencing some symptoms. What kind of things were you experiencing?
Oh, it was crazy. I went from going out at night, working all day, going to the gym, to where after work I had no energy and I would just go to bed. And everything hurt, everything ached, and I couldn't figure out what was wrong. And then it got to the point where, because I only worked 4 days a week, I would go to bed on Friday and I would not get up until Tuesday. And I started going to doctors, and they said, oh, you have stress. And it's like, I have no stress. I'm 27 years old. I'm making a ton of money. Everything's great. I have no energy. I don't feel good. Everything hurts. And I'm dizzy. I'm nauseous. And they couldn't figure out what was wrong. And
so they couldn't figure out at all because they did your blood work and nothing shows up in environmental sensitivities in terms of blood work.
No, it didn't. Not at all.
So then, how did you even sort of reach out and find that there might be another place to look? Because a lot of people, they don't. And then they're put on like antidepressants.
Well, they
they're
tried,
depressed,
and I
they're
refused
sick all
to
the
take
time.
it. They tried to tell me I needed antidepressants and this and the other. I'm not taking those pills. I'm not depressed. But one of my clients says to me, oh, you have allergies, because she was a patient there. And I said, I don't have allergies. I don't get rashes and hives. And she goes, why don't you just go? So I thought, what the heck? I've already been to 5 other top doctors in Broward County. So I went, and sure enough, he ran tests. And at that time, there weren't all the labs and all the stuff like you have now. He had to send it to a special center in Texas that came back and showed toxic and toluene, methylmethacrylate, I had low blood pressure, and I had hypoglycemia because it was also causing, the reason is getting dizziness, it was causing my red blood cells to clot together more, and I wasn't getting proper oxygen in my brain.
And see,
I had to
that
quit driving for 6 months.
We see that in holistic medicine all the time. It's not so unusual, and yet, you had to sort of like pulling teeth because conventional doctors don't have access to that information.
No, it was, and back then it was really difficult. At least now there's more centers that will test for it, but at that time that was the only place they could even send it to. And I'm so thankful that I went there and I was able to recover. Otherwise, I would have been like many other people thinking I'm just depressed and okay, maybe they're right. So,
well, that was fortunate, and I'm glad you saw your way out of it. But I know that led you to sort of, many other concepts in terms of focuses of interest for you.
Yes, it did, because that's when I started learning about infrared saunas and chelation therapy and, how the difference in supplements, the different ones, how one can help versus another one that's very similar could actually hurt you, and how to take what you need and what's correct. And it was just a wealth of knowledge, not something I was looking to learn, but something I had to learn. So,
and like so many people, the exciting news is that you started slowly experiencing a complete change in your health.
Yes, everything turned around, and as much as went wrong, I was so fortunate to have all these talented practitioners come into my life to help me. So that's kind of what, I want to share this with others, because there's so many out there that still don't know where to turn or where to start or where to go.
That's so true. Even now, because this is several years ago, or, share with us about how long ago was it that you started out on this journey?
It was actually 32 years ago is when it started. 30 years ago is when I was actually finally had the diagnosis of everything. So I've been down the path now for 30 years and doing great.
That long.
Yeah.
So we're just going to reintroduce you here. I want you to know that Herbally Yours is bringing you today our guest, and her name is Darcie Barron. You're here with the Natural Nurse for another edition of Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. So that led you down many paths. One thing I know you very much focus on also is growing your own herbal medicines right in your yard, because I've been there myself.
Absolutely, because when you purchase it, you don't know what medium it's grown in. You don't know the source of the seeds. Is it GMO? So many times when you buy organic, you don't really know. Is it really organic? What was it grown in? So by growing your own, you can modify the soil. You can add the amendments so you know it's getting maximum nutrients. And so I learned, when I first started growing, I grew like the typical tomatoes and eggplant and all this stuff, and I realized, wait a minute, I'm growing things that aren't going to help me. And then I learned to grow all the things that I like ginger and turmeric and holy basil and moringa trees. And I'm fortunate to be here in South Florida, because in South Florida, all of this stuff you can grow year-round.
That's true. And you do. Even in a very small space. Like, we're not talking about you have acres now.
No. And, sprouts, I've learned how to do sprouts, and you grow them right in your house. So there's no reason. Everybody can grow enough sprouts on a little, 3-foot rack to feed a family. And they grow so fast, and they're easy. So there's no reason why you couldn't grow something to help yourself.
Well, so you took matters into your own hands in terms of your health. You gave up waiting for, a conventional doctor to fix you, because that wasn't happening. You reached out, and it's sort of almost like going through the looking glass. All of a sudden, there's all this other information that is not to this day known by conventional medicine, which is just astounding when we see thousands and thousands of cases like yours documented, where we feel better after we find the cause. And that's what natural medicine focuses on. It's called Tolle cause them. Find the cause. Not just cover up the symptom with a pharmaceutical that actually makes you worse in the long run, but dig below the surface. And you found that you did have allergies, like food sensitivities. How did you discover the electromagnetic field and sort of the toxic reactions that you were having from the hairspray and, the dyes or whatever you were using in the industry?
Oh, it showed up in my blood. That actually showed up. There was a special center that they had to send it to, and I was toxic in toluene and methylmethacrylate. And it showed up, and they couldn't believe it because they said, this is only people who work in dry cleaners. It's actually in nail polish toluene. The methylmethacrylate was actually in the acrylic nails. And then what it did, it just triggered multiple chemical sensitivities because they would do the testing under the skin and see how you reacted. And that's how they found all the different ones. And then I did the immunotherapy along with cleansing the home, learning to get everything out and turning it around and using herbal therapies along with vitamin therapies to cleanse your body. And that's, you have to really work on cleansing it and getting it out and not re-exposing yourself constantly. We do live in this environment, so you do constantly deal with things, but the cleaner you are, the easier it is to fight it off, and depending on what you're taking and as far as what you're absorbing, your nutrient-wise, helps to build your defense.
Well, that is great information. And what we're going to do is, take a little break right here. And when we come back, let's talk thermography, because you are a certified thermography technician. Again, a lot of people may not even know what that word means, so we're going to educate them. And I'd like to remind you, listeners, that you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Listen live online at nccradio.org. or on iHeartRadio. For more information on today's guest or topic, email us at whpc@ncc.edu. Stay tuned. Herbally Yours. We'll be right back.
I wasn't prepared to be a caregiver to Mom, but a little over a year ago, we realized she couldn't take care of herself without our help. And, well, how could I not be there for her? I had no idea how hard it would be and just what I would need to know. Things I never thought of, like how to improve her mood and, even for me, ways to stay positive. Luckily, I found the Caregiving Resource Center from AARP. It had articles about the basics that got me started, but also information about the hurdles I was facing in this new role. I could even connect with experts and hear from others who had been in my place. I know this road we're on isn't an easy one, but I'm really happy to have the extra help for her and for me.
Caregiving Resource Center at aarp.org/caregiving. Articles, tips, and tools to help you both care for your loved one and care for yourself. This message is brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
And welcome back to more right here. And you can find Darcie at Third Eye Thermography, and she spells it number 3 or D, and then the word I, E-Y-E, thermography. What is thermography? So, Darcie, let's go into, real simple question. What is thermography? Let's figure some people don't even know what that word means.
Okay, thermography is a infrared image of the body. So what it will show is the heat temperatures and the differences in the body. And some areas should be hot, some should be cold. And so by seeing the differences, if you're getting excess circulation or decreased circulation. If the blood vessels are gathering extra blood in one area, it's going to create more heat. If there's a lack of flow, it's going to create less heat. So that's where you can see if there's dysregulation going on.
So now, what do we use thermography for? Because it is actually used in medical care in some circumstances. So in what way might it be helpful?
Okay, so by seeing the thermal markers, you can see the first sign of breast disease happening, because if cancer is very hungry. So when those cancer cells start developing, they're gathering extra blood cells. They're sending out extra little veins to gather more blood. So that's going to show as a hot spot. But not just cancer. If your breasts are estrogenic, they're going to be, the veins will look engorged. And a lot of people, their bodies collect estrogen from their diet or from sometimes bioidentical hormones if they're not on the correct dosage. So, and it's very important, because if your breasts tend to be more estrogenic, it sets you up to later on be a candidate for breast cancer. So you don't, these are things you want to avoid. But more than that, it can also show you your first signs of diabetes. You can see if there's thyroid disorders going on. And it's your first signs. If you're set up for a stroke, you're going to see lack of circulation in certain areas. So sports injury, circulation, if there's chronic pain conditions, you can see the source of where it's coming from. But the main thing is that you can see the beginning signs before it actually becomes any of these diseases. And that's the true point of it, is to make it preventative. So now you can do something herbally, you can do something with vitamins, you can do some dietary or in your environment to change what's happening and never have to have it.
And I do want to share with our listeners that me personally, we're not telling you what to do, ever. But I do want to share with you, those of you who even are longtime listeners here at Herbally Yours. I've had this show on this station, I think 1990 it started, and it's not the only show. We have some that are much older. But I have always used thermography, me personally, as a tool to help me understand my body. And in terms of any kind of breast health, I personally have chosen to never have a mammography. You need to make your own decision about that. And I have used a combination of thermography and a sonogram. And if through those completely non-invasive, no radiation techniques, my OBGYN were to find something, I might then decide to once every many, many years have a mammography, because I do the same thing with dental x-rays. I don't get them. I don't get dental x-rays unless myself and my health professional, who's been a dentist for many years, thinks that there's an issue in a spot, and we will then take a spot x-ray, not a whole bunch of x-rays twice every year or once a year. That's just my choice, because I'm not so fond of the research that links having x-rays to the increase in cancer. So while I think it's a wonderful diagnostic tool, that's how I, run my risk factors. So really, I have found thermography to be something that really should be adjunctive across the board in mainstream medicine. This is the reason. With thermography, as Darcie will share with us, there's no radiation used whatsoever. Nothing's injected and nothing's put towards the body.
Correct. It does not touch you. It's just like having it's your own personal photo shoot. It's somebody taking pictures of you, and you're the model for the day. But the thing is, with thermography, it's not allowed to be diagnostic by the FDA. It's only meant to be complementary to. And one of the reasons they do that is because they say it gives false positives. But the false positives is letting you know what's happening before it becomes a disease, which is so important, because, if you go with a mammogram, they keep testing until they see something. Well, once they see it, it's already been there an average of 7 to 8 years, because it has to get large enough to show up on that. Whereas with thermography, you're able to see things before it develops that far. So it is meant to be complementary to other. And if something shows as dysregulation, the report's going to come back and ask you to follow up with other testing, because you need to protect your health. And I strongly believe in integrative, like Ellen said. It's not meant to replace. It's meant to work together with everything else, so that you really have a good picture of what's going on. And this way you have the opportunity to correct the issues.
what I think is so great about thermography is to have it done, as Darcie explained. You basically just sit in a chair. Sometimes the room's a little cool, and you don't have anything on top, but you're not being X-rayed. It's taking a picture of the heat that your body puts off. That's what happens in thermography. And it is actually listed as a technique that could be used along with mammography to determine breast health and wellness. So that's something that could be done a lot more in mainstream medicine as well.
Yes, although they don't recognize it, it is showing your first signs. So that's why it's so important to do it, because you can spot so many things and never have to go through all of the symptoms and medications like most people do. And it is, if you go to get thermography and it's not cold in that room, you need to leave, because it needs to be 68 to 72 degrees.
Tell us why, because I know some people offer it and they don't cool the room down, which I think is how you do it. I know that's how other thermographies I've had done. It is in a cool room.
Okay, it's very important to have the right environment when you're having thermography done. It needs to be, because the body has to acclimate, the camera itself has to acclimate to the right temperature so that your body will display the right markers. So you're going to display the right temperature, and there cannot be any draft in the room. If there's an air vent over your head, that's going to alter the body temperature in that area where that air draft is hitting. So you don't want any air vents overhead or anything that's going to move the air around. You want, because it is so sensitive, it needs to have your body cooled down so that it's going to show the right temperatures so you can see the variations. You don't want an outside window or the light that's going to penetrate heat on you and alter your body. Then you're going to have your responses being off. So it's real important to be cooled down, and then but it's not just you, it's the room, the camera, everything has to be acclimated to truly get the best results.
So that's how you do it. And I love how you have your office set up. It makes people, feel very, very comfortable. And I want to remind you that you are listening to Herbally Yours on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Ellen Kamai, the natural nurse, and my guest today is Darcie Barron, Certified Thermography Technician, and somebody who has used natural medicine in her own life to help herself and many clients who she works with. And the best place to find her is at Third Eye Thermography, and that's spelled 3RD. EYE Thermography. And of course, if any of your friends are interested in listening to our shows here on WHPC, after we air them, they are archived, and we can send you a link so, any of your friends or family could listen to them, or you can re-listen to them at another time. So I think that it's really wonderful that you offer that. Now, I know in your lovely clinic, Third Eye Thermography Holistic Center, besides offering thermography screening, you also do something called cell well-being nutrient mapping. Tell us what that's about.
This is an incredible test, because with the nutrient mapping, it's done through the hair root. So I use tweezers and I pull the hair out the root. So I have to have the live root, which I put on a little machine that reads it. It sends the data to Germany. In 15 minutes, it comes back and you have a complete report, a 34-page report that's going to show you your vitamins, your minerals, broken down into all the different ones that are on there, your environmental effects. So are you showing that you're toxic in heavy metals and mold and fungus? And the importance of that is because if you have heavy metals, it does affect your health. And then there are foods and herbs you can take to help rid your body of those. And it recommends foods that you need to overcome whatever you're lacking. It's not telling you go take handfuls of stuff. It's letting you know the natural way to get back. And it's all printed out right there on your report that you get, and we review it with you before you leave so you understand the report. It also shows you your systems that need support. Is it emotional system, your muscular skeletal system? So it gives you a basis. So now when you combine that with the thermography, you have a complete picture of what's going on, and you know where to turn and how to get help. And that's where I help refer you to fabulous people like Ellen Kami and many others. So they help put together a program for you.
I was really impressed with that particular test, the cell well-being nutrient mapping, because I had gotten a regular blood test to measure nutrient levels to see what you might be low in, what you might have enough in, what you might be too high in. You know, people who take tons of pills get way too high in a lot of these supplement levels that throw things off and cause symptoms also. They don't realize that. It's not like more is better. And I was blown away by how accurate this cell well-being nutrient mapping was, because I had the actual blood test to compare it to. And this was, you know, it's quick and easy, and the report is exquisite, all in full color. I thought it was very helpful information for anyone to find out about themselves.
Yeah, even radiation. I mean, the report has been so accurate. I find it amazing, because last year I took a trip to Costa Rica. It was a fabulous vacation, and when I came back, I retested myself, and I was full of radiation, which was simply from going through the airport. And because I don't get X-rays or any of that kind of stuff, like Ellen said, when I go to the dentist, I don't do X-rays. I had radiation simply from one flight, and most people don't even think that you absorb that, but you do. I mean, that's how much the environment can affect you.
Yeah, that's one of my, I would say, my current concerns is because they're putting up the 5G network. And Herbally Yours listeners, we have lots of shows here. You can Google them on 5G, where we go deeply into that, because that's an upcoming threat that I actually have some fear about, because it's not like people are going to be able to escape it. It'll be coming into everybody's house. They're putting up millions of satellites. But certainly being able then to stabilize your own health and wellness by knowing, you know, through thermography, which is non-toxic, through cell well-being, which is non-toxic, those things you could do preventatively. Not that you never want to use drugs and surgery. They're certainly necessary if things get far along. This is what's called preventative medicine, where we can change aspects of our life naturally through knowledge to actually protect ourselves.
Exactly, and it is preventative, because I have had people call me, they say, oh, how soon can I get in? I have this big lump here, or my stomach is killing me. Can I come in? Can you do my abdomen? No, go to your doctor, okay? If you already have, and you know there's something there, that's when you need to go to your doctor, have them do the other tests. That's not preventative. Then you need treatment. So, if somebody calls me with something like that, I always ask, why are you looking to do this? You know, if it's for prevention, absolutely. Or if you want to see your progress on something, you know, it's a good test. But if
well, you know what? Believe it or not, we are out of time, Darcie, and thank you so much for being our guest right here on Herbally Yours. And I'd like to thank our listeners as well. Thank you for tuning in to Herbally Yours, produced in the studios of 90.3 WHPC, Nassau Community College, Garden City, New York. For further information about today's guest or topic, email us at whpc@ncc.edu. This is your host, Ellen Kami at naturalnurse.com, inviting you to join us next week for another edition of Herbally Yours. Until then, stay healthy.